I'm sitting here in Bangkok, Thailand with an old friend of mine who also used to be my boss many levels above me, Joe Pearson. We're both ex-military, and I ended up working, after I retired, ended up working on a contract which he was like the ultimate boss. So, and somewhere along the line we became friends. So Joe, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about kind of who Joe Pearson is.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short because a lot of times when you talk about yourself, you kind of start getting diarrhea of the tongue.
Especially as military guys.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up in. Actually, I'm a military brat. I grew up in Tennessee after my dad retired, Knoxville, as a matter of fact. So I'm you can probably tell through my accent, I grew up in the South. But I spent 22 years in the military, and after retiring from the military, 22 years, 4 months, if you really count, I decided to start my second career as a civil servant. Still working for a Department of Defense, but I worked as a civil servant for another 25 years. So I've got about 57, close to 58 years with the government. My military career, I started off in the infantry and decided that I wanted to do something other than the infantry, being cold and hungry, because I was in the 82nd Airborne Division. Decided that I wanted to do something a little bit easier. So I went to flight school, and for the last 17 years of my military career, I flew helicopters, and I've got a little bit of fixed wing time flying the little two engine airplanes, the C-12s, U-21s.
Okay. All right. And then so you got into, after you retired out of the military, you started in government contracting right away?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I started off as a government contractor for my first 5 years. And then I applied for a government position, and that's the way I became a civil servant.
Okay. So for a lot of people who watch YouTube, you see a lot of people who doesn't have a military connection, or you don't have who don't tell a military story about how they got to Bangkok. So what we want to do here is kind of present to you from a military standpoint, kind of how the military, everything we gained from the military, kind of helped us, live here in Bangkok. I personally don't live here yet. That's the plan, to live here. So gaining information from people like Joe Pearson here will help me make those decisions moving down the road. So once you moved into government contracting, that's kind of where Joe and I met. I was a contractor with a company, and we won a contract, and he oversaw the daily operations and the functions of that contract. And since then, so what started you on the path of thinking Thailand?
Yeah, that's a good point, Jay, because I would tell you, if you had talked to Joe Pearson 20 years ago, I wouldn't have fathomed living in a foreign country. But that's kind of the thing that you get when you're in the military, traveling and learning different cultures, traveling all around the world. And you find out that people are people all over the world. Of course, there are different cultures, and people live a little bit differently than other people, and they have a few different customs. But to answer your question, that's why I'm here today, is because traveling a lot in the Southeast Asia, I really like it. The culture, the people, how nice they are, some of the things that I, as an African American, would be concerned with in the United States, I'm not that concerned with over here. For example, going in a restaurant, no one looks at me and says, "Why are you here?"
Right.
People look at you. I mean, you're. Let me give you an example, Jay. They have McDonald's over here, believe it or not. At McDonald's, the food tastes the same. I was in a McDonald's, and I'm the table saver between me and my wife. I go and save the table, and she goes to order. She went up to the counter to order a hamburger at McDonald's, and I was sitting there, and there was a a Thai lady that came in, and she looked like she was about 28, 29 years old, but she had a toddler. And she came and she sat right next to me. I mean, there were plenty of seats, empty seats all around. She sat right next to me. She put her toddler down next to me. She put her pocketbook on the table right next to me. And she left her toddler there and she went up to the counter. So that's just a little example of the way people look at you, whether you're an African American or whether you're, white, or whether you're. I mean, people, they just, and that's something that it kind of encouraged me after the couple of times I visited here, that I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I've been coming here for about 18. This is about my 18th trip, so about 18 years I've been coming here. And that's one of the things I noticed as far as my race is concerned. It's being I see people looking at me as it's more of a positive than a negative. They're curious about me. They're not used to seeing me, right. But I don't feel anything negative from it. Yeah. It's just out of curiosity. And I'm always called. Anything they might know that's black. The Rock. I've been called Obama. I've been called anything that they've seen on TV that was black. That's who I was. Yeah. But it's amusing. It's not insulting or anything like that. I can't say out of the 18 years that I've come here that I've ever felt my color matter. Yeah. It's like no one's looking at me in any kind of way or having to move over from their seat right. because I'm sitting next to them. Yeah, it's just so awesome. Politics, not an issue here. No matter what you are, and I'm not here to tell you who I am or what side I lean on, but I don't really care. Mm-hmm. And here, you don't have those things to worry about.
Don't worry about that at all.
Absolutely. So as you started thinking about coming to Thailand, what was the trigger? Because I remember coming in, sharing my stories with you coming in the office when we were working mm-hmm. together about Thailand and making my YouTube videos and things like that. And then I remember you, one year you said, guess what? And then you kind of laid it on me right. that you're actually seeing a Thai person now, and it just blew my mind. So take us back to kind of that point.
Jay, I got to tell you, the first draw, of course, there's many draws to living over here. It caught my eye when I came to visit a couple of times before I made my ultimate decision. But the biggest draw was cost of living. I mean, it's, my wife and I can eat an entire day. And I've always been a finicky person, to eating food that's different other than the American cuisine, but I'm finding out that the food over here is so delicious. I mean, whether it's street food or whether it's food in a restaurant, but my wife, getting to the point, my wife and I on several days have eaten 3 meals, the both of us together, in the equivalent of $20 a day. And that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm talking about good, healthy, tasty food to where I don't want to go to McDonald's anymore. It's just good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling her earlier today, we were having a conversation about, my wife just asked me, why do you keep coming to Thailand? Now, Joe and I have traveled to several different countries throughout our military career and our life. And as he said, it's Thailand is just different. Now, one of the things I tell my wife is that for what I spend in Europe for a week or so, I could probably get 2 weeks or 3 weeks in Thailand for that same amount of money. And Thailand is it's not a big country, but it's vast enough that in 18 years I've not seen everything in every place. And so there's always something new to see and something new to learn about the different culture, and the people are so extremely nice. I mean, I use the analogy when I'm in the States explaining it to my friends. I say, they treat you like you're the king and queen of Thailand. They're just freaking nice. Once you decided to make that move to Thailand, and you and Joe has a nice place here, by the way. I'm gonna take this moment real quick just to give you a quick picture of his view outside his window. So this is Joe's view from his window. You know, how cool and how beautiful is that? Just imagine what that looks like at night. That's Bangkok. And as you see over there in the distance, that's, you know, more into the center of Bangkok. You know, but that's what he wakes up to from his bedroom and his living room each morning. Now that you're here, and what's the plan now that you're here?
So, because what I talked about earlier, Jay, you know, how inexpensive it is for me to live here. You know, we're banking a lot of money every month. You know, I'm at a stage in my life where it's time to enjoy. You know, I've given all my life, you know, to family, and so it's time for me to reap the benefits. So the money that we're saving, we put it into a travel fund, and once a month we travel. We're in Southeast Asia. There are countries that I haven't been to, like Vietnam, Taiwan, Philippines, Hong Kong. There are in Japan. I've been to Japan a few times, been to Korea a couple of times, but there are parts of all of those countries, the culture, the history, you know, the fun things to do, the experiencing the cuisine from those different countries. You know, this is time to do it, and the money that we're saving, you know, we pay cash. You know.
Yeah, we spoke about this earlier. You were telling me that, you know, Joe plays chess and I play pickleball. So he's already here now. Once I get here, he says he plan on, you know, basing his trips around where he may go to play chess tournaments in other countries. I play pickleball. It's the same thing. When I move here, our travel will be based on, you know, I won't say totally based on that, but, you know, when I go play tournaments in different, you know, countries, that's where we'll go and visit for a little while. So when you were younger, growing up, if someone told you that, you know, you'll be living in Thailand one day, what would you have thought?
I would have thought that they were speaking a foreign language. I mean, there are states in the United States I didn't think I would be living, let alone in a foreign country. I knew that one day I'd maybe visit Canada, maybe visit Mexico, but you tell me I'm going to go to Southeast Asia and visit, let alone live, that would have been something I wouldn't have thought that I'd ever do.
Okay, I agree with that. Now, Joe, as we spoke earlier, Joe and I both come from military backgrounds. So as military, as people who are in the military offers, you know, we've both gotten a pension from our retirement in the military. He did 20 plus years, I did 20 years. We have a pension. Any disabilities that you may have received from the military, you also receive that. So for as cheap as it is living here off of what the military provides us alone, we can live an awesome lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Rent is cheap, food is cheap, transportation is cheap, clothing is cheap. It's just inexpensive, and yeah. So I don't want to say cheap because cheap, you know, kind of some people see that as quality. You know, speaks to quality. It's not about that. It's an inexpensive lifestyle here, and as you saw from the view, some of these are very, you know, high tech, you know, buildings and the technology here. He has Wi-Fi, anything you can get from the United States.
I even have NFL football.
There you go.
Though I have to get up in the middle of the night to watch it because from where I lived in Virginia, it's exactly 12 hours different from where I am now. So they still telecast the NFL games. I still watch my Dallas Cowboys. They played a Sunday night game, though, Jay, this week. So 8:20 at night over there for the game. I'm eating breakfast while watching Sunday night football.
You're not without, and that's the point. You can everything you can receive in the U.S. you can get here. You may have to, you know, you change your schedule a little bit, but you can get everything that you get in the U.S. but extremely at a less cost.
Yeah.
So, that being said, we talked about, and I'll edit this out later. But what was it we were talking about? We were talking about something else. Forgot, lost my train of thought. That's old age for you. I'll edit that out. But Yeah. So from this point, what does the future look like? I mean, do you plan on staying here forever in Thailand, or are there other countries you might be interested in?
Yeah. So Jay, when we got here, we came in here. We signed this lease. We signed a 12-month lease in this condominium, which is, I was telling Jay earlier, this is the baseline. This place is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condominium. It's spacious. We pay less than $1,000 a month for the rent. This is good enough. This is good enough for us to stay. But as you asked, Jay, what are the plans? Well, we're kind of open-ended. My wife and I have made a decision that after about 9 months in this condominium, we're gonna have a decision point. Hey, do we want to stay here in this part of Thailand? Do we want to go to another country and give it a shot? So we're kind of open-ended, and I like this because I'm not tied to. The sky it's open limit. We might be living in Vietnam this time next year, or the Philippines next year, but we have that option, and that's the key.
Yeah, that's
the option.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking earlier about the definition of rich. It's not about a dollar amount. It's about quality of life. So if you've ever thought about when to pull the plug on a 9-to-5 job and do something like this and move abroad. It's about your work-life balance and quality of life. And if you're in your retirement age, it's like Joe and I, Thailand could be a serious consideration for you. And that's what we hope you can get out of this. If you're considering moving here to Thailand and you have a military background, we want to tell you that it's possible. With everything that the military has provided you, it's very possible. There are people here who live here off just Social Security alone for what they get from their Social Security each year, or each month alone. So anything above that is just extra. We were talking about the definition of rich. Rich is not defined by a dollar amount, but about how happy you are. Are you able to do the things you want to do and not have to worry about the cost of doing them? To me, that's rich. That guy who's in that yacht out there in the bay, I'm seeing the same thing he sees. See, that's what life is all about, is enjoying it to the fullest. And here in Thailand, it doesn't have to cost you your life savings to do so.
Jay, we were having a discussion earlier. I don't know whether it was today or a couple of days ago. I lose track of time. Some days I'll get up and I don't even know what day it is. But it's pretty neat to get up in the morning and say, hey, what are we going to do today? Are we going to go to the beach? Are we going to go downtown shopping? Or are we going to go, or what are we going to do this weekend? Well, let's get on an airplane and fly down to the south of the country, because usually an airplane ticket here is about $30, $40 max. You can get anywhere in the country on an airplane flight. So it's a good way to live, to get up when you want to. I've always been the type of person, especially being in the military, where I like to get up and work out. So we work out every day. We have a gym in our condominium, so it's just getting on the elevator and going downstairs. Then maybe after a workout, get in the swimming pool, and then come back upstairs and say, well, what are we going to do today,
So what would you say to those people who say, Thailand is all about bars and sex trade and drugs and alcohol and all that? What would you say to people who think that about Thailand?
So I like to watch YouTube, and I would tell you that probably 70% of the stuff that you see on YouTube, and that's what they like to, that's what sells. But I'm telling you,
that's right.
Thailand is a place, if you want a comfortable life, if you want a life of doing things like going to the beach and having fun with your spouse or whatever. I like to drink a beer every once in a while, but that is not what I do. I don't go to bars. I don't, it's there, but I don't do that. As a matter of fact, I'm a Christian. I grew up as a Christian. And we just recently found a church here, a Baptist church. They speak English. The first one we went to visit, they spoke Chinese and Thai. Well, this one that we're going to start going to is an English-speaking Christian church. And this country is 98% Buddhist. But there is a small communities here that are Christian. So hey, look, if you can do it in the United States, you can do it in Thailand.
And you know, if you're into the bars and all night, yeah, that's there if that's what you want to do. But I wouldn't guarantee that you'd be able to do it on a Social Security, live like that lifestyle without some kind of financial issues. If that's what you're into, that's there for you too. But it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So, other than that, yeah. What do you? I guess we'll end it there. And unless you have anything else you want to add to this.
No, I mean, the last thing I would say is, you know, I was very apprehensive. Like I said before, 10 years ago, I would never even have thought that I'd be living in a foreign country. But, you know, you got to open up your mind, you know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. When I first started coming over here, I had the first opportunity I had to come over here was 2003. Years later, I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with the people. And it's like, it's the only place I want to go to now. You know, I go to other places because of work, you know, that type of stuff, but this is the only place I spend my vacations at every year, and that's the reason why I've been coming here for 18 years. So, Thailand is available to you if you want it. You just got to go out and get it.
Yep.